I'm Lauren Kling, and this is 5 Things That Changed Your Life. Each episode, I sit down with a special guest and ask them to share 5 stories, events, or experiences that had an impact on their life, like a person who helped them decide a path to take, or a place that completely transformed the way they think. Perhaps it was inspiration from a family road trip or a childhood TV show that helped them to make the person they are today. This week's guest, Ron West. Ron West is a writer, director, actor, and occasional producer. He's been associated with the Second City for over 30 years as a performer, coach, and decision maker who lets us in on one of the secrets of the world of auditioning and casting.
I was running for a while, running the auditions, and we'd see 6 people, and they would leave, and we'd go, oh, no, that one guy swore too much. Oh, that's terrible. Don't they know that they should be working at the top of their intelligence? That's awful. Okay, bring in the next 6. They do their thing, and then they leave, and we go, oh, wow, when that one guy swore, it was hilarious. Oh, boy, let's get him back in here. Oh, I've never heard the F word so many times. That was great. So the criteria would change from group to group. All of a sudden, oh, swearing is cool now again? Oh, okay.
Joining me in my conversation is my co-host, Alan Ng. All right, Ron, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Alan and I were looking at this list, and we noticed some themes and patterns.
Oh.
The first pattern and theme that we saw was lying and deceit.
Yes.
In some of your answers.
Yes.
So let's start with number 1 in the theme of lying and deceit.
Yes.
I lied to keep my scholarship.
Yes, I did.
Where was this?
This was at Kent State University, and I did not know what I wanted to do, and but I had a full ride scholarship. So that's probably the first time that's happened in the history of America, where there was a kid that had a full ride academic scholarship but no major. So I just kind of was like, I'll try a little bit of this, I'll try a little bit of that. And, I had a political science course, and I had this chemistry course, this honors chemistry course. And it came time to take a test in that. And as soon as we were done with it, I knew that I had failed that test. And I knew that if I'd failed that test, I would fail the course. Now, if I failed the course, that means my grade point average would go below a certain point, which means I would lose my scholarship. And I was like, I have got to find some way out of this. It was past drop and add point. I remembered I had taken some tests that I think today would be called AP tests. Mm-hmm. And I said, well, maybe I can convince the dean that I just got this, thereby allowing me to drop that chemistry class after drop and add. So I went in, and that was my case. The only time I ever talked to a dean the whole time I was in college, and I said, "Oh yeah, I would love to continue with this chemistry class, but I just got this piece of paper that says I've got the credits already, so I think I'm going to drop it." And he says, "Well, what's your average in the class?" And knowing full well that it was an F, I said, "Oh, I've got a B." And he signed the paper, and I gave it to the professor, and then I went into the arts.
What was the scholarship for? The
full academic scholarship.
But aren't those normally based on your performance in something in high school?
Sure, yeah, exactly. Where it was different, where it was, like the stuff that what you discussed in class, that's what was on the test. But remember when you got to college, it's like, you better read that book because that's going to be on the test, even if we don't discuss it.
Right. So
that bullshit.
Got it. So the scholarship you got, was it for something where you...
I took a general knowledge test, so it was like a little bit harder than Jeopardy.
Right.
And I aced it, because I just, had absorbed, plenty of stuff.
So would you say you're a good test taker then?
On that one I was. There have been some other times, I would say yes, but like one time I had to do traffic school recently. And I was infuriated because I was like, this is not about me reviewing traffic laws and stuff to help me get over my infraction or anything. This is about tricking me. The person that wrote this test is using double negatives and crap to trick us. And that's not what a test should be about. It should be a test of your knowledge, not a test of you taking a test.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I had to retake my written driver's test.
Yeah.
There's a question on there that made absolutely no sense at all. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember talking to the guy who's grading the test, and him trying to explain to me what this was, and he couldn't do it.
There was on that particular, it was an online traffic school, which thank God you can do now, right? But it'd be something like you'd be reading a paragraph, you have to read these chapters, and then you take the test. And then there was something like, on page 4 of this chapter, there's a number in the middle of the page. What is it?
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with. There's nothing to do with traffic safety.
Well, you know what? It could be. In the early days of computer games, when there were 4-color monitors, there was the video games, in order to have copy protection, they said on page 13, the third sentence, 5th word, what is the word, and enter it. And that's how you got through copy protection on a game. So maybe if we reframe it as these a-holes writing these tests
Yes.
are just people who grew up on PCs and are using the most basic of copy protection they can think of.
You might very well be right.
I don't know if that helps anybody out there.
You know what helps? It helps me hate them less. It really does. So thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, and just the last thing on the scholarship, you didn't get a Letterman's jacket for whatever, because I always think of scholarships as you lettered in something, a sport or an academic thing.
I did not. I was not an athlete until much later in life.
Okay, got it.
I was just a bookworm.
Got it.
An excellent typist.
Yeah, and so let's jump to that.
Oh, did I talk about that?
One of the things you wrote was, I learned to type.
So a thing that changed. One of the things that changed my life is definitely I learned to type. Yeah, because, this seems weird now, but it used to be I learned on a manual typewriter, and it used to be that we would, when we did our research papers, they would say, okay, first do everything on index cards.
Right.
No, wait, first write an outline. Mm-hmm. Then do everything on index cards. Then write everything out longhand. Then type it on your typewriter. So I get to college and I'm like, okay, but that's too many steps to go through anymore. And so I just started typing on, which we do all the time now. It's nothing to just go right to typing. But at the time, it was like, wait a minute, he's skipping over all of those steps. That's crazy.
Right. Did you learn to type in school?
Yeah.
And was this a typing class?
Yes, and I actually won a prize for the speed of my typing.
Do you remember what the prize was or how fast you could type?
And I think it was in the 50. It was a manual typewriter, as
right.
I said. So it was like 50 some words a minute or something like that. I've got it probably still somewhere.
Wow, that's amazing.
Well, I don't know if it's amazing, but it happened.
Mine was 86.
So, but was that a manual typewriter or an electric typewriter?
Oh, you're right.
Yeah,
it was an electric.
Yeah.
See, I was just on an old manual typewriter, which I wish I still had.
And I was probably on an electric, but it's funny. For some reason, I didn't pay attention when it came time to learning numbers. So even today, I have difficulty with numbers, especially the 5 and the 6. Like
I do too.
You learn to stretch your finger out for the 5 and the 6.
Yeah.
And still today, I have to look at those numbers.
So do I.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Is it typing fascinating?
Well, Alan and I were looking at this out of your list, and we said,
but that's a thing. But that's like a thing now that is just critical to what I do every day. Is I sit down, I'm looking at a blank page, and I'm like, how the hell am I going to do this? And then like an hour later, those pages are filled up.
So when you say learning to type was a thing that changed your life, you're looking back at
what you do today, correct?
Oh,
it
yeah.
wasn't that thing that changed your life when you sat down the first time, was it?
No. Now I couldn't do what I do unless I,
Yeah, you've got to be able to lay the words out almost as fast as you think them.
Yeah.
And you can't do that hunting and pecking for letters.
Well, some people can, but I can't.
Can you write? I mean,
Oh yes, I can do. I can, and I still do compose some things longhand. Yeah,
and you can read your writing and you can get it out.
I
and
can
fl-
read
and
my
flow.
writing, but not everybody can.
Yeah. I feel like the paper's moving while I'm writing. That's how it looks. As if somebody was taking the paper and shaking it.
Uh-huh.
Like one of those shake weights.
Oh, those bizarre shake weights.
Somehow I fit in shake weight with typing.
Those are really weird looking. Do they still have those on the infomercials for those? I mean, it was really embarrassing for the people to,
Yes, I think they do. There's stores just full of seen on TV product.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
You mean
yeah.
For real?
Yeah.
I believe that there, outside cities, there'll be immense tanks that are like, 100 yards in circumference.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that those tanks are filled with the extra crispy sauce from Kentucky Fried Chicken, which nobody wants. Yeah, when you go in there, they say regular, extra crispy. I don't even know why they say it. Who would get extra crispy? It's just regular, because that you want the taste. Why do you want all that theater in your mouth? You don't.
Right.
Well, that's why nobody lasts at KFC, because they're asked to say, "Do you want regular, extra crispy?" Everybody says regular, and they just go insane from having to say both of them.
All right, getting back to lies and deceit.
Lies and deceit.
All right. You also said you got evicted and lied so you could get a mortgage.
Yes. I found out that there are more reasons in Los Angeles that one can be evicted besides not paying your rent. For instance, your landlord can say you will have to move because we need your apartment for a family member, which was my case, an immediate family member. You will have to move because we will need your place for this immediate family member. And as I remember, it was going to be the woman's son, and then he kind of said, "Oh no, I'm not going to do it." And then so the landlord moved into my place. I saw it as just a way that they were going to try to get around the rent control. Ultimately, in a few years, move out and fix it up, and then jack up the rent for somebody else. And I was very upset because I love that place, and because it was rent controlled, I'm like, I'm not going to be able to get any place that's decent for the same amount of money. I mean, I'm going to go and have to pay through the nose for a lousy one bedroom, and I don't want to do that. So somehow I scraped together a down payment, and a woman that I knew took me around to see some places, and the real estate market in LA was at the peak at the time. And ultimately, I saw a condo that I had enough money to put the down payment for. And I saw a mortgage broker about it. Of course, you have to fill out all this paperwork.
Oh, it's a ream of paper.
It's a crazy amount of paper, and taxes and copies of your taxes in the last few years, and blah 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 blah. So I got all that together. I go in to meet this mortgage broker. I don't even know if he looked at this stuff because he's looking at some piece of paper, and he says, "Now to qualify for this mortgage, you need to make," and I can't remember the figure he said. I think he said $8,000 a month. Okay. Now to qualify for this, let's not even say $8,000. He says to qualify for this mortgage, you need to make $5,000 a month. Okay. The point is he said some amount that made my hair go up. You need to make $5,000 a month. And he looks over his glasses at me like this and says, "Do you make $5,000 a month?" Not only did I not make $5,000 a month, I didn't make $500 a month. And so when he said, "Do you make $5,000 a month?" I said, "Yes, I make $5,000 a month." And I got mortgage. I just lied and said that I did. I think he was saying Now, what you're supposed to tell me is this.
Right.
And then I said, okay, I get the game. I'm on board.
Do you? I'm trying to think how to form this question.
Was that not a good question?
No.
I mean,
was a
was
good
that
question.
not a good story? I'm sorry.
No, it was a great story.
That is. It's like, wow, is it really that easy to get a mortgage now?
Well, my question is, and it's funny.
Well, the last question: is it really that easy to get a mortgage? I think maybe at the time.
Yeah, at that time it probably
At
was.
that time, which was before the recession,
Right. So
Right.
2007.
I think it was number one. It was easy. I think, to my credit, I had done due diligence on all that dumb paperwork. So because I had all the ducks in a row, the last duck, which was the most important one, they let me have for free. All right, what was the question? I'm so sorry.
Well, I was going to say that right before the recession, it was much easier to get a loan at
Yes.
that point. You just had to say you had a job. You didn't have to
Which
show
I
any
did
proof.
not. I did
Right.
not have a job.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, I had a part-time job.
So were you able to make your mortgage?
Yeah.
So you were.
Yeah. Just by the skin of my teeth. But
Yeah. I think that's how everybody feels, even with rent. No matter how much rent you pay, you always are able to scrape by somehow. Usually.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing that around that time, it sounds like you were taking it seriously too. I mean, a mortgage wasn't.
Which I shouldn't have. You're right, Alan. I should not have taken it seriously. I should not have written that down. That was a silly thing to write down. That, you know what? That's been bothering me for years, and now I realize it was my own sense of duty and propriety that has been making me feel bad. And now I don't.
Alan, he used big words and threw his arms up, and I don't know if he meant it was good or a bad thing that he came here.
Well, it seemed like this is when I was trying to get my first mortgage. There was that there was this overwhelming sense of responsibility, and but you knew deep down there's no way you could pay this thing.
There's no way I can pay this thing off. I mean,
Right.
I mean, my let's see, what are they? I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Whoever takes care of my body, I don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't know. The question that I was going to ask is, in at least a couple of these instances, although the word lying is here, I think there's many forms of lying. There's lying to get what you want. There's lying because people are happy to take advantage of you, no matter how stupid they are or how dumb the situation is. So lying can be, I'm going to get what I need, or I'm going to get what I want. So are you the kind of person that lies because you can, because it's a benefit to you, because
Well, I think I think this is what is those two that we've discussed so far have in common. They are. And I'm going to tell you another one that from childhood. Okay.
okay.
I would classify them as lies of desperation. That in a way I can't believe the person to whom I was speaking. I can't believe they bought it. Now, when I was a child, I took the bus to school, and our rivals in our neighborhood were the kids from Travis Street. And they were bothering me one day on the bus, and you know how over the back wheel of the bus there's that hump,
Right.
in the seat.
You can't put your feet really down.
Right, but you got to put them up on that.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in that seat in the bus, and some of the kids from Travis Street were in front of me, and they were bothering me. So I stood up on that hump, and I pummeled this one kid, Steven Spencer from Travis Street. I mean, because I was up on the hump, I had the high ground.
Right.
The bus driver says, okay, you guys knocked that off and everything. And so the kids from Travis Street were like, well, you've got to meet us in the field behind your house now because this isn't over. So now I realize now it's going to be me against 3 or 4 of them, and I'm going to get my ass kicked on this. And I'm in the house, and I go out, getting ready to go out, and my mother says, where are you going? And I said, I'm going to play football. And she says, why aren't you taking the new football that your father gave you for your birthday? And I, thinking quickly, said, Doug Winger's bringing his football, because you don't need 2 footballs.
Right.
So she bought that, and I went out. And so now I'm in the yard behind my house. I'm fighting the kids from Travis Street, and it's tough because it's one at a time, but still I'm getting pretty tired. And Mr. Ernie Yakovone drives up his driveway in his Ford Ranch station wagon. And I go, you guys, I would really like to continue fighting. But Mr. Yakovone is going to see us, and he's going to make us stop. And they bought it, and they went home. They were like, well, if we can't continue. Now, maybe I was doing a lot better in the fight than I thought.
Right.
But that was a lie of absolute desperation. I was terrified. I was getting really beaten up. And I had to say something, to get out of this situation. And they went home.
So you've been good at improv for a very long time.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe so. I don't know that I was in terms of a performance improv. I was good at it to begin with, but
could you ever imagine anyone would ever relate your story about fighting three boys to improv?
I didn't think about it at the time. I will say this: when I was a child, I was a really good improviser because. You would go out on a Saturday afternoon with your friends and play one character all afternoon and not think that, I'm playing this character for 3 hours. I would just did that naturally. And I couldn't do that now to save my life.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, it just sounds like, not, the thing you don't want to do is portray you as a habitual liar. It's just... there's that one.
No, it's okay if you do.
Okay. Yeah.
No. That wasn't my intention. But
no. But there's the three cases. It looked like there was just this little hump you had to get over.
Right.
And the easiest path to do it is just to play the game and
tell right. So I suppose in the scholarship one that was a plan that was. Took me the weekend to put together, and I had to make an appointment and stuff. I mean, there were many steps to execute the scholarship lie. The fighting lie when I was a kid, that was, in the moment, and I still can't believe that they bought it. And the mortgage one was, somebody asking me to be complicit in the mortgage scheme, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You were just helping his job along.
I was helping his dream. His dream of being a rich mortgage broker.
Yes.
The reason why
it was a good loan. It was a real good loan.
Yeah. I mean, he made money out of it. He needed to get that loan.
So you were helping others.
That's right.
Yeah, I got it. It's interesting. The reason why I bring this up, and I'm trying to get so philosophical about lying and deceit, is because before the show we were talking about, I had mentioned that I had gone to the TV Academy,
right?
Was invited to go see the cast of a TV show speak, and afterwards they allowed the members of the Academy to get some free swag. But you had to have had a wristband, meaning your plus one, which was me, did not get free swag. Well, my friend that I was with, when I went up and I said, hey, I would like your swag, he said, let's get one for you and one for me. They would not give any swag to me. And he started to raise a stink and raised a more stink. And I got embarrassed and walked away. But you know what? He came back 2 minutes later, found me near my car and said, here you go. Here's your swag and here's mine. And he explained, and I get it, he's a friend of mine, the idea of don't give up. Don't let somebody shut you down just because they say no. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be an asshole about it. Mm-hmm. You can be
But you walked away. Did you sense him being an asshole about it when you got embarrassed?
I don't get embarrassed easily, and he was really being flowery, really being theatrical about it. And so that's what embarrassed me, was how emotional and big he was getting.
So not assolytic. Just emotional and theatrical.
Yes.
Dramatic.
Yes.
I would submit that what you have qualified as emotional and theatrical, that some people would qualify as assolytic.
Yeah, so the point of that story was, I do feel like the universe is bringing the similar thing of lying, deceiving, getting what you want, getting what you need, act of desperation, or feeling confident, the power to say, I want something.
Yeah.
This is what I want. This is what I need.
I would submit that the situation you were in to get the swag was a different interaction with people with a different interaction than the three others that I've been in. It's another category. It's like in biology when they categorize the animal kingdom and everything and the plant kingdom. I mean, there should be a kingdom of lies because there's all kinds of different kinds of lies.
Okay.
With that many specific kinds of them.
Got it.
Yeah, I think it might have to do with the object of what you're trying to attain. I think maybe you walked away because maybe a bag of swag is really not worth, what it took to get it, as opposed to a mortgage. Or,
right.
Yeah.
I'm
not trying to compare them. I think,
and I'm not trying to diminish your situation.
Got it. I got it.
I would say that not to make too big a deal about me and the little things that have happened to me, one of which happened 50 years ago. They were all three lies to save my life. That's what I was doing, and I can think of another one where I'm like, I've got to do this to save my life.
Right. Well, and here's the next topic theme.
Okay.
Doing things either just because or out of necessity.
Hey everybody, it's Lauren, just breaking into the conversation real quick to share with you some additional interesting things that you guys, the listeners, have shared with us on our Twitter page at 5thingspod and via email at 5things@5thingspodcast.com. So, AB wrote in to say, played competitive ultimate frisbee for 8 years. DT was a Dallas Cowboy cheerleader and a body double for a famous actress. I wonder what famous actress that is. BM says, trained for a year to be a pro wrestler, but had his dream cut short when he injured his shoulder. That totally sucks. MC says, a paranormal romance book writer who just so happens to not be able to see in the dark. And Anonymous says, I'm music director and trombone player for a Blues Brothers cover band, which cannot be named at the moment because of a court case. All right. Those are just a few additional interesting things that you guys have sent to our Twitter page at 5thingspod and via email at 5things@5thingspodcast.com. Send us an interesting thing about you so we can share it on a future episode. Now, back to the conversation.
Here's the next topic theme.
Okay.
Doing things either just because or out of necessity.
Okay.
So here are three things.
I don't remember what they are, so this would be interesting.
So one of them you said was, one day I started directing because I was fed up with how things were being handled.
Yes, that's basically true. Let's see. How did that go? We would. I'm not going to mention all of the names here, but we would go out on the road with a running order that was impossible for us to do.
And what was this you were doing?
I was doing the Second City Touring Company.
Okay.
And there was any number of reasons why it was impossible for us to do. The language was too bad for the audience that we were going to be playing. We didn't have the personnel to execute the scenes that we had. It was too long. It was very often, the case is we just can't do this because it's too long. So somehow it fell to me to take what we had and rewrite it and say, we're doing this tonight.
You did it out of necessity.
Yeah, it was definitely out of necessity. And there wasn't anybody to call at the time. There wasn't anybody with us that was going to do it. So I did it.
Did the home office find out eventually?
Yeah, and because I gave myself a battlefield commission, they promoted me.
That's opposite what I was thinking was, did they yell at you or say, no, you did wrong? But It's
They essentially just said, you shouldn't do that. Why don't you do this regularly? Yeah.
So they were, they were clearly seeing the results of.
I think they were hedging their bets. I think they were saying, you shouldn't do that. Let's have you do that regularly. So if I screwed up in the future, we knew that you shouldn't do that.
Got
you
it.
see?
So again, like the mortgage broker, you were making their job easier.
I guess so.
They got the credit. You got the.
Yeah, I think they got the credit.
So Ron West, service to others.
Right, sure.
Okay. So let's go back to the beginning of Second City. Let's jump back. You said, I opened my roommate's mail to get a phone number to make an appointment to audition for the Second City.
Yeah, that's well, that's another, sort of thing I did to save my life, right? I was in these workshops, and I was doing quite well in these workshops, and we all knew this audition was coming up, and you'll receive a letter that'll invite you to audition. And I didn't get one, and I was really devastated. And my roommate, who was only a casual workshop attendee, he got one, and I was really jealous. So I opened it up and later told him, I thought it was for me. And I opened it up and found what the number was, and I called up, and I said, it's Ron West. I'm calling up to make my appointment. And, at the time, the person on the other end didn't have a checklist of to whom a letter had been sent.
Right.
I just called up and said, I'm making my appointment. They said, when do you want to go? And I said, I want to go at this time. I just made the appointment that way. And then I wasn't hired immediately. I think I auditioned like in March, and then in September there was another call back, and then when I got to that, they said, you are hired.
How about your roommate?
Never. I don't know if he even auditioned. I'm sure that he did, but he just didn't make it. And I thought he was so much funnier than me. I really did.
So when you did that, were you just basically gambling and saying, I don't know what's going to happen on the end, but it's at least worth a shot to make the call?
Oh, I had to make the call. I had to get that appointment. I couldn't be. All of my friends were going to be auditioning. Oh, I was like really crushed about. Then later, when I got promoted to do the job that I shouldn't be doing, I found out how easy it was for people to fall through the cracks. And people, it would happen all the time. It would happen all the time where we'd see 400 people, and one person of the auditors would get two actors mixed up. One of there would be like six of us, and then one of us would get two actors mixed up. And if one of us got two actors mixed up, the chances are that would disseminate to all six of us. So now all six of us would have these two actors confused, and so we'd come to a callback and we'd go, wait a minute, that isn't Fred Jeffries. Fred Jeffries is this guy, right? So we'd call back the wrong person. So it was easy for people to fall through cracks of that. What was at the time a mom and pop organization and now is $1 jillion international business.
Crazy to think of anything like that as a mom and pop shop like IO or UCB. Yeah, just a small little,
This was Chicago then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Alan.
Alan?
Yeah,
I don't know why. Alan and I both come from short form improv as well. And Alan...
Yes.
Even had
Alan
his...
lied to get into an audition?
No.
He looks like the kind of guy that would do that.
No, I have it easier. I'm diversity.
And I don't have an excuse. I'm just a white Jew. But,
I'm very lucky to have gotten in that day.
There's always strange reasons.
Let's see. If I were 24-year-old Ron West and I was auditioning today, would I be hired? I don't know. I think I wore a tie to that audition, and it actually at the time might have kind of set me apart.
Well, how much does politics play in even for first-time auditions, where it's
You mean-
how you look, or he doesn't look cool, or I wouldn't want to be friends with him just because the way he looks or the way his voice sounds?
That happens all the time. Yeah, it happens all the time. Yeah, having been on both sides of the table, sometimes the decision to cast or to truly consider somebody, it happens in just the first few seconds. I remember one time I was casting some weird thing that Joe Liss and I had written. This woman who later became very close friends with, Chelsea Hackett. I'd never met her before, but I remember her walking around the corner, and she kind of dressed for the audition, but she just walked around the corner and onto the stage, and I was like, oh, I want her. Yeah, we're gonna have her. Song. I knew as soon as I saw her and how she was presenting herself, I knew right away that she was going to be in.
That's how nutty entertainment business is. Like why somebody gets a gig.
Yes, and speaking of those auditions, which after a couple of years, because I was promoted to the thing that I shouldn't be doing, I was running for a while, running the auditions, and we'd see 6 people, and they would leave, and we'd go, oh, no, that one guy swore too much. Oh, that's terrible. Don't they know that they should be working at the top of their intelligence? That's awful. Okay, bring in the next 6. They do their thing, and then they leave, and we go, oh, wow, when that one guy swore, it was hilarious. Oh, boy, let's get him back in here. Oh, I've never heard the F word so many times. That was great. So the criteria would change from group to group. All of a sudden, swearing is cool now again? Oh, okay.
Flighty decision-making. That's,
Did you feel like when you were starting in Second City that maybe the environment was a little unorganized and you just kind of had to fight
It was as organized as it needed to be.
I mean, it sounds like you're definitely, being proactive about managing your career through Second City, as opposed to someone saying, "Hey, here you are, and let's move you down this path."
I don't understand the question.
But, well, I mean, I think it
I've talked about the decisions of desperation. So to qualify me as proactive, I think is
well, in the sense of when you were
correct.
directing, when you took over the director point there.
I would say that directing is a lot about time management. And is about getting some people together that you think can do what is basically a pretty difficult job. And the thing that I would object to proactively save myself a lot of headaches is they'd say, well, we want this person because they're so funny, and I'm going like, you don't understand. This job is constantly bailing water, and I don't need that person weighing down the boat. That's what's going to happen if we hire that person. It's really not about being funny. It's not about anything. It's about, this is a tough job, and I'm the one that's got to lead it, and I don't want to be shackled with that person. And so naturally I would be.
For some reason, because my mind likes to go in weird places, I'm envisioning if you took all of these auditions back to caveman times when it was, we're going to hire 6 people to go out on an expedition to forage for food. Mm-hmm. That guy swears too much. We don't need him to go ruin this whole foraging for us. But then the next 6 come and...
I don't know that I would have taken it to caveman times, but once again, I respect your desire to do so.
And
that's what we have to do nowadays: is be tolerant of each other's idiocies.
You were not the first to cordially dismiss my intricacies. Mrs. Kling has done many times. My mom finally was like, "Feel free to move out whenever you want." So I get it. All right, back to you.
Back to me.
All right. One of the things you said was, one day I started writing songs because somebody had to.
Yeah. Doesn't that explain it all?
We could move on. It really was it.
Let's see.
I'm assuming this was for a specific show.
I started writing them at Second City, and I had this idea in my head as a much younger man that I was going to write the big, funny comedy musical closer that would destroy everyone. And after attempting that a few times, I learned a lot of things. I learned that the songs decorate the show, for one thing, in that comedy review format. And you will spend 80% of your rehearsal time trying to get the stupid dance steps down to those 90 seconds. I mean, you'll when you need to be getting all those scenes together, here you are just trying to get these dumb dance steps down. It's awful, right? So I learned a lot about, I guess, where to place one's emphasis and where you should be focusing. I wrote a couple of written about half a dozen musicals now. Most of them I wrote with Phil Swan, and we always start with the words, or occasionally we start with something that we want to have happen on stage, so like a staging thing. We never start with the melody first. Like maybe once we did, but we always start with the words first. And I never want it to be words in a void, so there always has to be a who, what, and where with it too. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. I don't like it when the theatrical song is a shared monologue. You know, a song that we hear on the radio is just like, oh, this is, the diary of, whatever pop star you want. And it's just her thinking and talking, right? But that's different on stage. It's, if they're thinking and talking, it's got to come out of something either that we've seen or something that we know.
Motivation.
Some kind of motivation.
Right.
So I don't like it when somebody says, well, here's the lyrics. And I go, well, where does it take place? Well, on stage. No, okay. What's the location? Well, I don't know. I didn't think of that. Is that important? Yeah, it's important. What do you want, Alan?
Yeah. So was songwriting something you wanted to do, or is it something you're just thrown into doing?
Well, everybody wants to be a songwriter because it seems like it's kind of cool, right? But no, it kind of was like it was also the kind of directing thing. The same thing as directing. Like, well, you know what? I better take the bull by the horns here and try to do something because
you can't wait for someone.
Well, I can't wait for somebody, and I don't want. My friend Nate Herman from Chicago gave me my only lesson in lyric writing, which is as follows: I hate bog, dog, frog rhymes. That's it. That was his whole lesson. But actually, now I listen to used to listen to. Popular songs just because I enjoy them, and then now I always listen to them like for the structure of the song and not sometimes for the drama of it. You guys know a song called "The Green Green Grass of Home"? It sounds familiar. Do you know it, Lauren?
No, maybe.
All
if
right.
I heard
it. I'm sure your listeners all know it. Anyway, it's the only time where "It Was All a Dream" works in a popular song. Because in improv, when "It Was All a Dream," it's like, yeah, it was all bullshit.
You've negated the entire.
You've negated everything that you've done for that.
Right.
Great work. But the Green Green Grass of Home is the only time when that works in a song for me. And it works terrifically. Sung by Tom Jones.
I'm going to have to look up the lyrics because I want to see.
Well, I would say listen to Tom Jones do it because it's very dramatic.
Okay.
It's very dramatic without being acyclitic.
I've heard that word before, Alan. Do you so all these instances where you've taken control because you've needed to, do you have
I perceived I needed to.
right? Do you have a problem delegating to others
Yes.
or ceding control
Yes,
to
I do.
others?
Yes, I
do you,
do.
because you doubt that they can do as good of a job, or that it will not service you adequately enough?
I think really I have difficulty delegating because I'm only 15 minutes ahead of the people that I'm in charge of. So I really, what do you want me to do? You know what? I don't know because I'm only 15 minutes ahead.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So there's not like weeks of preparation time where, you know.
When you have lately I've been directing for more for some regional theaters which have a bigger staff, and then they say, we have to have a production meeting. And if I know the show well, or if I have a little bit more foresight, and they'll say, what do you want to do here? And then I will be able to say, oh, I think I want to do this. So give me this and give me that and give me a couple options here. And I can kind of delegate, but that's because the show is in place and the staff of designers and stage manager is already in place. There have been times when I didn't have a script at Second City, and the producer would say to me, now, what do you want to do for the set? And I'm like, I have no idea. I have no idea of what's going to be in this show. No idea at all.
So what do you do?
Sometimes you just make up something, and then try to fit the show to it. Let's see, what was it? One time in Detroit, we were at the beginning of the process, and they said, what do you want? And they were building a new ballpark across the street, and I said, give me something that suggests that ballpark, because I like baseball, but also it was a big thing in the city. And that's what we put up, not, a mini ballpark, but something that's kind of suggested the fence and stuff like that. So that was one time when I just kind of arbitrarily said, give me that. And the designer did, and it was a breeze. And actually, I think the opening number was kind of about the ballpark too. So, wow. Well, the opening number was a good music, kind of a Motown number that like a year before, one of the women, Margaret Exner, had brought in a set of lyrics, and she said, this is about people that are going to be going to the stadium. And I was like, well, I can't use this. It's just a bunch of words. I don't know what it is. So now it was like a year later, we're working on a new show, and she or somebody else brought up that song again. And I said, I think I know what to do now, like a year later. And so that one I sort of took over, and the musical director and I wrote a really fun opening number about how this stadium was going to, isn't that always the case when they build a stadium, this is going to cure everything.
Oh,
this
right.
This is gonna bring us jobs. This is gonna revitalize our downtown. This is gonna make our team champions. It's gonna do everything when we build this.
Yeah.
So we took that, and this stadium is also gonna cure cancer and everything else.
Right.
I have not had pleasant times with the other fans at Dodger Stadium. It's but maybe maybe I'm just older now and hearkening back to a time that never was. But what is it with people that can't behave themselves in public? You're okay, so you're at a stadium. Okay, you got a right to cheer and stuff, but there's kids over there right next to you. I don't think you swear your head off when there's kids over there. And just shouting the F word as loud as you can. I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should do that anywhere. Yeah, okay, maybe you were drinking in the parking lot beforehand because you certainly can't afford the beer that's here,
Right.
or very much of it. But this is how you, an adult man, handle yourself in public? This is crazy.
Yeah, it's strange.
Yeah.
I followed the Dodgers all the way up until the Bill Malleys.
Oh, I don't.
I
know.
don't think we're including this.
Okay.
But up until the Malleys sold the team to Fox.
Okay.
And it was at that point where, well, now the Dodgers have changed from a family team to a corporate team. And it's like, okay, now's the time to go.
And now it's a conglomerate of owners, right, including Magic Johnson and some others, right?
For the most part, with the Dodgers?
Yeah.
I think so.
And the Angels are Artie Moreno, of course, who is basically the majority owner.
Yep.
Well, and I don't, again, this may be me hearkening back to a time that never was. I don't like these time-saving measures in baseball. I don't like instant replay. And for, I'll give you a really great reason why I don't like instant replay. When that manager gets angry at the umpires, that is one of the funnest things ever.
Yes.
And now you don't see that because it's just they're talking about making it more exciting, and they absolutely took away one of the most exciting things ever.
I've got to say the most exciting thing is going to a baseball game with my brother back when he would sit there and score the game.
Which I do all the time.
It was fascinating. I joke about it because it was weird and strange, but oddly fascinating. And him being a numbers and accountant, I could see. It's like working on a puzzle. Your brain's just
and I keep score all the time. I love to keep score. There's an accountant character in Take Me Out who gets converted to the joy of baseball because of all the numbers and everything. It's a really wonderful character.
Do you have the paper? I mean, do you go out there and sit at the stadium and do scoring?
Yeah. I sometimes sometimes I'll keep track of the number of pitches.
It says Moneyball. Moneyball is the numbers of baseball.
Yeah.
And the sheer joy of it in the back office.
Which was, a book about numbers, but then as a movie was, really very engaging and very dramatic. And I was like, wow, I can't believe they made Moneyball into an interesting picture.
Right.
And that being said, somebody said to me the other day, my girlfriend's sister-in-law, or maybe my girlfriend said to me, oh, you really like Field of Dreams, don't you? And I'm like, every time I see a picture about baseball, it makes me either want to go to a game or play a game. It just isn't the same as going to it or playing it.
Huh. Yeah. I was a fan of the Dodgers as a kid, and I followed the Padres a little bit when I was in San Diego, but just have not been a fan of baseball for a long time. But I totally get the nostalgia and the Americana and the feeling of going out, especially going to a game with friends, or you're going and you're having the shared experiences, and you're going, all right, this is my third beer that cost $18 for this crappy ass domestic. But
I think baseball is a game of moments. You remember the time, the Kirk Gibson home run.
Right.
The Oral Hershiser streak, Fernando Mania. It's just, Chicago, I'm sure, has their moment now. Yeah. And that's the thing you share with. I remember when the Angels won the World Series. It was just like I'm in this stadium full of fellow Angel fans.
It's really great when your team wins.
Yeah.
It's really, really great.
So why aren't there, soccer's the same way. There's a lot of downtime, a lot of just watching the ball, going back and forth on defense. But then there's those moments.
Right.
Yet it's not or hasn't traditionally been an American sport.
You can't score soccer.
But it's yeah, that's true. You can't score soccer. Sometimes I joke. Sometimes I joke with my softball teammates, and somebody will slide in and go, "That was good." Remember, we're keeping track of all the good slides. Pardon me.
Yes. God, I remember learning how to slide in Little League. Now you do this so you don't break your legs.
I don't know if anybody ever taught me, but I contend that it is safer than going in standing up or something. I do it for my own safety and for the safety of the fielder. In softball, the most dangerous position is second base because you've got your back to the runner a lot of times when you're receiving a ball from the shortstop on a double play. You cannot see that runner coming.
Right.
So he can knock you down, he can cut your legs out from under you, and you can't see it. As a catcher, you can kind of see it coming. Unless the ball's being thrown from the first base dugout, you can see the runner coming down third.
Right.
But second base, it's a different story. I've gotten really clobbered at second base, too.
Yeah. Okay. Speaking of getting clobbered at second base, one of the things you said was, I asked a girl to marry me to keep her from crying.
Yes. I think that...
Did you get past second base with this girl?
Oh, yeah, I did.
Okay,
for sure.
good,
And we
good.
did get married.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you asked her to keep her from crying. What was
Yeah.
she crying over?
She was crying over the fact that we'd been apart, we got back together, but now she felt like we were going down the same path, and what was our future? So I was like, oh boy, well, I just better take us into the future, you know.
So you did ask her for a purpose. It wasn't just a uh-oh. It wasn't the opening to a, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I mean, you did it with an intention of, I'm going to follow through with this.
That's true.
Versus
That's true.
Versus what did I just get myself into?
I did intend to follow through, and I did follow through, but it was sort of like, it wasn't like I'd planned to ask her to marry me that night. That's the way it's normally done. Well, I think the time has come. I'm going to ask Leslie to marry me tonight. And, oh, great. Well, good. I didn't give it any thought at all.
Right.
I was like, I better do this, or this is.
I was vacuuming my apartment when I made the decision.
But you were vacuuming the apartment when you made the decision, but you were by yourself.
Yes.
It's not like she was there and then, hey, honey, how about we get married? It wasn't like that.
Yes.
For me, it was like, we're at a restaurant, she's crying, and I was like, well, I hadn't thought about this, but I think I better do it.
See, you had time to second guess yourself.
I didn't. I had the idea, and I said it in the span of 30 seconds.
So ultimately, was it the best decision you've ever made in your life?
I would say, I don't know. I mean, we were married for 8 or 9 years, and some of those were very happy times. Some were not.
It was a marriage, basically.
Right. It was a marriage.
It was a marriage made in
Marriage made in the spur of the moment.
the spur of the moment. Got it. All right. You attend church regularly.
Yes.
When did you find a church, and what does it bring to you?
My dad was a Methodist minister, so from the time I was a tiny child until like high school, I was, in church every week, or several times a week, and then of course when I was in college and a young man in Chicago with my sybaritic lifestyle, I didn't or rock and roll lifestyle. I didn't go to church, and then we came out here, and my friend Rick Hall said to me, I sing in this choir. We could use some singers. It's like having a free voice lesson. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try that. And I think there was another man that was in the choir that was a TV writer that I thought, oh, maybe I'll get to know him too. So, besides the spiritual aspect, there were friends and potential friends that I already knew were going to be there.
Was your dad funny?
My dad was hilarious. And he would. He was an excellent speaker too. Sometimes they would have a multi-church gathering, and like one minister would do the opening prayer and another minister would do the communion or whatever. They always gave my dad the sermon. They always kind of deferred to Harry as the superior speaker. But yeah, he was really funny. And he loved the comedy shows that I eventually got into. He loved those. There was one time he came and saw, I think was me doing the touring company on a Monday night in Chicago, and my girlfriend was sitting with my parents, and she was so jealous because she goes, he was crying with laughter. and I think she kind of felt jealous because she couldn't get her folks to laugh at her like that, and she wanted that to be. He was crying with laughter.
So it sounds like you had a good relationship with him.
Yeah, I think, I did, yeah.
Sounds like he, in my church history, there was something about the performance on stage in front of the congregation, making them laugh, making them think, making them connect with you emotionally.
Yes, I think that that's really important. And, when you do the show and you go out there, you don't you rarely do you think of the higher purpose, which I guess in show business is what. Well, maybe if we're doing I don't know, if we're doing the Sunshine Boys, we're trying to, our higher purpose is to instruct the audience about how old friends last forever or something like that. That's our higher purpose. But when you're in front of the congregation, you've got this kind of a devotion to or a purpose, a higher purpose, and if you can express yourself in that environment, you can express yourself anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's where my improv came, or my love for improv came, was, I liked being in front of an audience.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily like dealing with people, but I like being on that stage and being out there. And I think I soon learned that maybe my calling wasn't, to be a preacher, but, to do comedy. And
it's funny you mentioned about dealing with people, because in the comedy ensemble, everybody's kind of got their specialties, and mine was often an organizational one, and let's do this as a group, and here's something we can do. We had one guy in Chicago who wasn't the greatest writer or the greatest improviser, but he was great with the audience. So whenever we had to stall or do something like that, we would send Tim out. Tim O'Malley, we wouldn't send him out. He was just like, "Oh, I'll do this," and he was great at it. Like some greeter at a casino. He was great with the audience.
Well, I discovered in improv that when we would do shows that I loved being the ref. I loved introducing the audience. Doing stand-up, I loved more going off book, having to deal with the drunk, Vietnam vet, than I did trying to memorize my lines and, oh my God, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
And that's why I'm a host. I feel so free being off the cuff. And when I don't know what I'm going to ask, or I sound like an idiot, or I ask a question and, somebody looks at me strangely, I still feel free. I feel like I have permission because this is my authentic self.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing.
This is me. This is me at service to you right now. As I'm helping you find yourself.
Oh, I already found myself.
Oh, you
Thank
found
you.
yourself. Well, my job here's done.
Well, I would say, like, improv troops, there's roles people have to play. Some people are the guys who do well with the audience. Some are the ones who keep story structure intact. Others are just great at characters.
Did you guys all see that Don't Think Twice with Keegan and the other kids?
Oh, I've wanted to.
It's really worth seeing. It's really and I thought that I would. Remember, I said, whenever I see a movie about baseball, it makes me want to play or watch a baseball game. And I thought, I'm not going to like this because this is about my lifestyle and stuff that I've done. But it was very well crafted. Very, very well.
That's the movie about the improv troupe, right?
In New York, yeah. Yeah, it's very well. I can't remember the writer-director's name. He's
Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah. He's also in the picture, and it's very, very good.
Yeah, I definitely did see that.
I'll have to check it out.
Mike Birbiglia?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, the thing that I really should have asked you just to top the show off, but we'll...
top it off?
I don't know.
Or at the top of the show?
I'm glad you're here. You know what? You really were here for a reason.
Cap it off.
To cap it off. Oh, okay.
No, I don't even know what that means.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, God.
All right.
Can you please sneeze or hawk up a lung so I have thank you. Now can we cut that out? All right, 1 hour. I need an excuse to feel...
Blackout.
Yeah. On that note, Ron West, thank you for saving our lives.
I'm glad I provided you with a blow for the show.
In service to others. Do, 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 do. I think you can write this off on your taxes. At least your drive commute out here.
I guess you're right. I can.
Yeah. Alan, thank you.
Thanks, Alan.
Thanks.
And
Lauren.
scene.
My thanks, as always, to my co-host and producer, Alan Ng, and to this episode's guest, Ron West. Ron was a writer on the British version of the TV series Whose Line Is It Anyway? And has been seen on TV shows like Third Rock from the Sun, Seinfeld, Malcolm in the Middle, and Blunt Talk with Patrick Stewart. Ron is an avid baseball fan who throws right and bats both right and left. You can follow Ron at facebook.com/Ron West Now. That's RONWESTNOW. You can follow us online at 5thingspodcast.com or on Facebook at facebook.com/5thingspodcast. That's FIVE. Or on Twitter at 5thingspod. That's FIVEPOD. Subscribe to 5 Things That Change Your Life on iTunes and leave us a 5-star review while you're there. We'd really appreciate it. You can also listen and download our show on Google Play, Stitcher, Amazon Alexa, or your favorite podcast service. Music by My Monthly Date. You can find them at facebook.com/mymonthly date. For 5 Things That Changed Your Life, I'm Lauren Kling.